Hey Kandinsky friends, happy Monday. I'm going to be reading the rest of chapter 2 and hopefully starting chapter 3 in this video. Um, I hope you guys are in good health and I can't wait to see you all hopefully tomorrow in our Zoom meeting at 1 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. My classmates and I spent a lot of time looking for signs of spring, but we didn't come up with much. My mom ordered seeds for her garden, Felipe said. One day, but she can't plant them yet. I'd still say that was a sign of spring, Mrs. Brisbane said. March was a funny month. We'd have sunshine and warmer weather for a few days, then suddenly it would rain and turn cold and gloomy. Og, have you seen one single sign of spring yet? I asked after 2 weeks of feeling frustrated. He replied with a very bored-sounding boing. Me neither, I said. My friends were as frustrated as I was. You'd think the leaves would be budding, Holly complained. Not now, Nicole sighed. You'd think the flowers would be blooming. Where are the robins? Rosie wondered. Mrs. Brisbane smiled. They'll be here soon. The first day of spring is coming up. Small Paul raised his hand. I was reading up on the average temperatures for March here, and this is a completely normal event. There were several loud groans. Ugh! It's not my fault, Paul said. It's a scientific fact. We don't blame you, Paul, Rolling Rosie said. But why does science have to be so scientific? At least she made everybody laugh. A few days before the first day of spring, it snowed. Again. This is not fair, Harry groaned. Daniel agreed. At least it could have snowed enough for them to call off school. Mrs. Brisbane went on to talk about how math problems, and I gazed out at the snow. It wasn't very deep, and there were patches of brown showing through. White and brown, brown and white, white and purple? Look, I squeaked. Look, look, look. I knew that the purple thing could be a wrapper from somebody's lunch or anything someone might have dropped. I climbed to the tippy top of my cage for a better look. Humphrey seems excited, Mrs. Brisbane said, hurrying to the table. Is something wrong? No, 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 I squeaked. It's a sign. She didn't understand me, of course, but Og joined in with a boing, boing. They're looking outside, our teacher said, but what are they looking at? The students rushed to the window to look. Og and I continued to make a lot of noise. It's purple. It's spring, I squeaked. Boing, 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 Og added. Rosie leaned forward in her wheelchair and pressed her nose against the window. Look, she pointed. It's a purple flower coming through the snow. The classroom buzzed with excitement. Where? Thomas asked. Yeah, where? Sophia said. I see it, Mrs. Brisbane pointed to. Over there, near the base of the tall tree. I heard lots of oohs and ahs. I think we should go out and see for ourselves, Mrs. Brisbane said. Yes, we should, I squeaked. It seemed to take them forever to put coats on and hats and boots and gloves and then go outside to see the flower. My friends were excited, and so was I, until I realized that Og and I weren't going outside with them. The cold isn't good for either of us. I knew that. But I couldn't help but wish I could go put on my coat and hats and boots and gloves and join them. Og and I silently stared out the window until we saw Mrs. Brisbane lead my friends to the little spot of purple. Everyone crouched down to stare at the purple bloom. Mrs. Brisbane snapped a photo, and then she did something wonderful. She looked right up at her window and waved. I don't think she could see me, but I waved back. Boing, Og said. Boing, boing. I love, love, love Mrs. Brisbane. And at that moment, I knew she loved, loved, loved me too. And Og, of course. When my friends returned to room 26, their cheeks were rosy and their eyes sparkled with excitement. "What did you call that flower, Mrs. Brisbane?" "Tell the truth," Thomas asked. "I believe it was a crocus," she said. "Let's look it up." Once the gloves and hats and boots and scarves were off, Mrs. Brisbane opened up a big book and turned to page through page looking for it. "Here," she said. "What do you think?" My friends all leaned in around her desk where she had opened the book. "I wish I could see," I told Og. "Boing, boing," he replied. "It's definitely a crocus," hopefully Holly said. "And to think it's poked its little head up into past the snow all the way to the surface." The door to room 26 swung open, and in walked the most important person at Longfellow School, our principal, Mr. Morales. "I saw you all going through the snow," he said. "I wondered what you were looking at." He was smiling, so I knew he wasn't upset. "There's a purple crocus in the snow." "Stop talking," Sophie said. "It's the first sign of spring, and it was beautiful. I'll show you." She led Mr. Morales to the window and pointed. "It's that little bit of purple near the tree." Mrs. Brisbane was behind us. "Humphrey and Og seemed to spot it first," she said. "Because they were very wise and observant," Mr. Morales said. "Thank you," I squeaked. "Bling," Og said. Then I heard voices chanting, "It's spring! It's spring! It's such a wonderful thing." I looked over and saw Rosie, Holly, Nicole, and Kelsey joining hands and repeating, "It's spring! It's spring! It's such a wonderful thing." Mr. Morales smiled and said, "I agree. I sit in my office and work at my desk and talk on my phone, and sometimes I never even look out the window. Thank you for showing me a wonderful thing." It's funny how a little purple flower in the snow can make so many people happy. Hamsters and frogs, too. After Mr. Morales left, my classmates started writing about the first signs of spring. Mrs. Brisbane wrote crocus on the chalkboard. She also passed around purple crayons for my friends to share. They were very, very quiet until they left for lunch. While they were gone, I took out my notebook. I didn't have a purple crayon, but I think I did a pretty good job of drawing a crocus without one. Humphrey's spring things. It almost took forever to see signs of spring, but now that it's happened, it's such a thrilling thing. All right, that's the end of chapter 2. Let's see how much time we have. I think I can start chapter 3. So chapter 3 is called The Humpster. At the end of the day, Mrs. Brisbane handed out flowers to all of my friends. "This is information about Family Fun Night. Please share it with your family so they can mark the date on their calendars." As soon as the papers were in my friends' backpacks, the bell rang and they raced out of the room. Slow Down Simon was the first student out, as usual. Hurry Up Harry was the last student to gather up his coat and hat and leave room 26. Mrs. Brisbane straightened the papers on her desk. Then she came out to the window and looked out. "I hope we see more signs of spring now," she said. "We usually do by now." "We saw the crocus," I reminded her. Mrs. Brisbane looked at me and smiled. "I imagine that you're ready for spring too." She looked over at Og. "How are you, Og?" Og didn't answer. He just divvied into the water and slid down onto the side of the tank and started swimming. Mrs. Brisbane chuckled. "At least you have a swimming pool year-round." Hamsters like me don't like swimming, but I guess humans and frogs do. After Mrs. Brisbane was gone for the day, and before Aldo came in to clean, I told Og I was going to visit Gigi. I wanted to make sure she saw the flower in the snow before it was dark. "Hi, Humphrey," Gigi happily squeaked as I slid under the door. I scurried over to the table and swung myself up. I was a little out of breath when I said, "Did you see the first sign of spring?" "No," Gigi said, looking around her cage. "Where is it?" "Outside," I replied. Luckily, the blinds were open. Gigi looked toward the window and twisted her head from side to side. I don't see anything but a little snow on the ground. Open the door, I said. Remember how? Gigi leaned against the door, wiggling and jiggling until it popped open. I can't believe that really works, she said. The two of us moved close to the window and looked out. Look over to the right, and near that tall tree there's something purple on the ground, I explained. Gigi squinted and stared. Then she said, What is that? I explained about the crocus being the first flower of spring, pushing through the snow. I didn't think flowers grew when it was cold, Gigi said. I explained that they usually don't, but sometimes they pop up right through the snow. It's beautiful, Gigi whispered. We sat for a while staring out at the speck of purple and the white snow. Finally, I asked, Did Miss Mac tell the class about Family Fun Night? Uh-huh, Gigi said. It sounds like fun, but will there be a lot of people? And will it be noisy? Yeah, I laughed. I think there will be a lot of people. And when people are having fun, they're usually noisy. Gigi giggled. That's true. She paused for a while and then she said, Families are awfully nice. I nodded. I've been to homes with lots of wonderful families. I always get a warm feeling in my toes when I see families together. Me too, Gigi agreed. Of course, I don't have a family. I don't have one either, I said, but I must have had a family at some point. I mean, as mammals, we had a mother and a father and probably brothers and sisters. I can't remember, Gigi sounded sad. Neither can I, but everybody has a family somewhere. Gigi went back into her cage. I helped her shut the door so it looked as if it hadn't been opened. I'm sorry the blinds are open, I said. At least I saw the crocus, she said. And Miss Mac said she left a note for Aldo to close the blinds when he's done cleaning. She knows I need my sleep. Leave it to Miss Mac to understand a classroom pet. Sleep well, I told her. When I got back to room 26, I told Og all about my visit. Boing, 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 he twanged when I talked about families. Do you remember your family? I asked him. He didn't answer. He just divvied into the water with a huge splash. I'm sure you had one too. I'm sure they were nice, I said as I returned to my cage. I'm sure we all did. We just can't remember. All right, I'm going to stop right there. Let's see how much time we have. All right, we're at almost 13 minutes. I will try my best to upload another video soon. It takes like 2 hours to upload them, so I'm trying to get them up, but be patient with me. All right, I'll for sure see you guys tomorrow, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.